What are you watching? It's a movie called Hush. It was released by Netflix in April. What's it about? It's a thriller about a writer who also happens to be deaf, and she's basically tormented for the majority of the movie by a masked man in the woods. Spooky. Yeah, but it's well done. Well, except for the fact that she's not actually deaf. You should do a review video about it. No, I'm done with those things. Why? I like them. I've got a bunch of other project ideas in my head, and I'd rather work on those instead of just having strange conversations with you. Why don't you change the format? To what? One of those top 10 video list things. Isn't that just clickbait? Sure, but people seem to like them. My face just talking to a camera sounds really boring. It could be great, or it could be horrible. I have an idea for it. What? You could do a list of scary movies that feature disability for people to watch for Halloween. Like The Bone Collector? Yeah, like that awful movie. Denzel Washington is a cop, sustains a spinal cord injury, and he feels useless until Angelina Jolie shows up to help him solve serial killer crimes from his hospital bed. And why couldn't he use his wheelchair? Because he needs to be in bed for the big ending. Right, the neck bite. That scene gives me nightmares. Do you remember another film with an epic neck bite? Monkey Shines. Yeah, that 1988 film by George A. Romero. Guy sustains a spinal cord injury and he gets a helper monkey that's been through some questionable science experiments. Then the monkey becomes connected to his thoughts. Things start getting violent. The monkey basically falls in love with him, and then he takes things into his own hands. More like his own teeth. Yeah, it's a strange movie. I'm pretty sure it's one of the first movies to feature a sex scene with a person with high-level quadriplegia. Sure, it's got that, but the happy conclusion of the film is horrendous. The ending makes me want to simultaneously barf and cry, but all of the 80s adaptive equipment looks hilarious. Speaking of 80s, Stephen King's Silver Bullet, that movie about werewolves? Yeah, Corey Haim plays a kid with paraplegia. Isn't Gary Busey in it too? He is, but this movie is 3 years before his motorcycle crash and his brain injury. Speaking of motorcycles, doesn't Corey's character get a wheelchair motorcycle from Gary Busey? He does. Ironic, eh? And they call the wheelchair motorcycle Silver Bullet. Yep. But I seem to recall a disability stereotype with one character. The evil Reverend Lowe? Yeah, he wears an eye patch on one eye and is visually impaired. And the eyes are the key to how Marty kills the werewolf, aka Reverend Lowe. Marty has to shoot him with a silver bullet in the other eye and permanently blind him to defeat him. Speaking of visually impaired characters, you could also include Wait Until Dark on the list. This 1967 film with Audrey Hepburn? Yeah, it's a psychological thriller with a bunch of con artists looking for a stash of heroin hidden in a doll, which was mistakenly brought into Audrey Hepburn's possession via her husband off of an airplane. The beginning storyline is kind of ridiculous. Then it sort of straightens itself out when the con artists show up to get the heroin back. But the main plot carrier of the movie is the fact that Audrey Hepburn's character is blind, which plays into many scenes, especially the end when she waits until dark and defends herself in a setting that is a disadvantage for the sighted. Things get very stabby. Didn't a movie similar to this come out recently? Yeah, Don't Breathe. Very similar idea. I also recall a 1992 movie with Uma Thurman and Andy Garcia about some strange storyline with a serial killer attacking and killing blind women in California. That's Jennifer 8. It's a pretty terrible mystery thriller. It seems to differ from Wait Until Dark and Don't Breathe though. Yeah, it portrays the blind Uma Thurman music student as the helpless victim. Andy Garcia is just there to protect her. The whole thing is not very good, but especially the part when Andy Garcia determines that the dead women are blind because of their rough fingertips from their years of Braille use. It's pretty ridiculous. Speaking of questionable detective work, what about Hitchcock's Rear Window? With Grace Kelly and Jimmy Stewart? Yeah, it's a classic. Jimmy plays a journalist with a broken leg. He spends the entire movie using a wheelchair and looking out his window and watching his neighbors. Then some mysterious things start happening. Someone kills a neighbor's dog, and Jimmy tries to solve the mystery. Then the guilty dog-killing neighbor tries to silence him by pushing him out a window. Did you know that Christopher Reeve did a remake version of it in 1998? I do, but I like the original more. But at least Christopher Reeve is actually an actor with a disability playing a character with a disability. The only one on this list. Speaking of classics, add Whatever Happened to Baby Jane to that list. The 1962 film with Bette Davis and Joan Crawford? Yeah, Joan plays Blanche, a character with paraplegia and a wheelchair user. She doesn't leave the house just like Jimmy Stewart. But it's not just her disability preventing her. Yeah, it's because of Bette Davis's character Jane, who was showing some signs of mental health issues, which appear to have manifested from her days as a child star. And she ends up tying Joan Crawford up, trapping her in the house, and killing the maid. This has a little bit of Rob Reiner's Misery storyline in there. How? Like Bette Davis, Kathy Bates' character shows signs of psychopathic or sociopathic behavior after she ties up a disabled James Caan, who plays Kathy's favorite romance novelist, after she rescues him from a car crash and finds out that he kills off her favorite character in his next book. Speaking of mental illness in thriller films, what about Donnie Darko, where it is implied that Jake Gyllenhaal's character has schizophrenia? Yeah, from the visions of the monstrous rabbit-like creature Frank, who gets him to commit various crimes throughout the movie, and tells him that the world is going to end in 28 days on Halloween. I also remember the mental illness theme in a 1990 movie with Tim Robbins. Yeah, Jacob's Ladder. Tim Robbins plays a Vietnam vet with PTSD-like symptoms and has various horror hallucinations throughout the film. But we should also highlight the problem with films like Misery, Donnie Darko, and Jacob's Ladder. You mean how mental illness is often used in horror movies as a prop and a scare technique? Yeah, and how many of these representations are just stereotypical, which can just reinforce an unnecessary stigma. Exactly. Well, I think we have a decent list here. Cool. Now stop talking to yourself and go make a video. Later. I'm gonna finish watching Hush first. Okay. Oh, and you should wear a costume for it. Like what? Dress up as zombie Will Trainer. Ha, me before you too? Will's back from Switzerland and he's looking for brains. Do it. Okay. Yes.